JJS released a mini update pretty recently, and it's a nothing update for most people. There's no super big balance changes, or anything, in this one, though there are new duel maps, which is super cool, and a few other changes. The big ones being better anti-run, systems and public servers, and better moderation for private server owners. Before we cover them, make sure to subscribe to stay up to date on anything JJS. And now, let's get started. The first update to mention is the new duel maps. These are all really cool, and it's a huge improvement over the flat, boring grass baseplate the game has had so far. Better yet, besides sewers, which I'll talk about a little bit, none of them actually have any crazy changes to the flat baseplate, so for the most part, the way you play duels isn't actually impacted by this, at least not heavily. The tomb map is the same as the baseplate functionally. The gym is a little bit more narrow, but not by a noticeable amount, you're not using all of that space. And then the sewers is the most different map in layout, being a pretty narrow rectangle. This narrow rectangle makes it much easier to perform wall combos, which helps some characters, though not too many are actually reliant on them. But the other big thing is, well, domain expansions, and any other kind of respawn kill cheese. There's an issue of sewers specifically that needs to be addressed. Because of the map being designed with two spawns really close by each other on a single side, it's possible to cover both spawns with a single big attack. Position yourself correctly, and you can cover both spawns with domain expansion, which guarantees you to kill someone on their respawn, since almost every domain expansion, except the obvious two exceptions, are guaranteed kills as long as you play them right. You could still kind of do this in the grass baseplate, but you couldn't cover two domain expansions at once, and instead were gambling a 50-50 if you were trying to domain someone on respawn. So people generally didn't do this, and instead played the game normally. What's more is that you can cover these two spawns with any of the one-shot beams, like Plasma Wave, Ryu's Ultimate. That one's a really easy one to trigger by the way, so it's particularly important, and then Yuta's Pure Love Beam. I don't think the issue is necessarily with the map, it's more that there needs to be systems in place to stop these kind of spawn kills. Something like invincibility frames on respawn, or a short delay after someone respawns where you can't use domain expansion. I haven't met anyone who actively tried to abuse this in ranked. That might be because they couldn't get an awakening up on me, but it doesn't seem that hard to pull off on sewers, and gives a massive advantage to any domain or beam character, of which there are quite a few. Again, the issue is less with the duel maps. I think they're all really cool, it's just that there's a lack of guardrails against the whole spawn killing thing in ranked, which needs to be fixed. Besides that, they removed evasive gain from burst, and increased the amount of lives for 2v2s, and up, which is cool for people who played in teamfight modes. Creator Clash got a new map called Shibuya Crater, and vote kicking someone will disable that player's skills, and reaching max damage cap will let you burst. Health bars should also be easier to see. Successfully vote kicking someone also doesn't put your vote kick on cooldown anymore. Roulette game modes that are picked won't be displayed next round. Simply put, this means you can't play the same game mode twice in a row, which is nice to avoid repetition. They also changed the music playlist for certain game modes, and game mode music will switch if the current one ends. You're also able to gain Awakening during Sorcery Clash. Sorcery Clash is a basic team deathmatch game mode where people just kill each other, and this definitely matters for it. It's one life total, and most ults have like a bunch of big moves that can one-shot people, so yeah. It probably won't be that easy to get ult though. It takes me roughly 2 stocks in ranked to get enough meter for ultimate, so you'll have to pull your weights in a bit more to get ultimate. The game mode will probably still be fun at the end of the day, and that's what matters, so yeah. The startup time for the gun during American Shenanigans got reduced, so you should be able to mag dump people a bit more easily. And then finally, they removed weighted votes, yay for democracy or nay. I don't get weighted votes well enough to turn into a political commentator and start screeching about justice for the people or something. Skill Builder and Build Mode got some new stuff too. An after image effect was added to visual blocks. Now, I don't particularly use Skill Builder that much, though I do know people were making after images already with some kind of smart workaround, which was in a lot of Naoya movesets, but I'd assume this makes it easier to make those after images. Skill cooldowns also increased some limits in Creator Clash, so more balancing freedom. And then they tweaked the limits of certain blocks. Private servers also got some nice stuff. There's a new menu with new tools for custom server hosters. You can ban people from custom servers now. That's really good. And then workshop access is now a player setting. All of this makes it easier to moderate custom servers, and gives people who want to actually run something more control. You have actual ways to deal with some idiot who's trolling in bad faith or whatever, and overall, good stuff. Then there's the final changes I would consider pretty impactful. they changed the way that wall jumps are affected by health. Before this update, being on low health would make your wall jumps really slow, and also make them take you nowhere. They'd basically be a little air stall rather than, an actual wall jump. Now, how many wall jumps you have changes depending on HP. Having green HP, of course, gives you 3. Being in the yellow gives you 2 wall jumps, and then being in the orange range limits you to a single wall jump. So, using them for actual fighting is the same since usually you only have to use 1 or 2 wall jumps when trying to juke someone out. And if you're trying to run away where having 3 wall jumps is super impactful, it's harder to do that. The old system kind of just nuked your wall jumps entirely, and you couldn't use them for fighting at all, so this one is a much better way to do things in my opinion. Then, breaking one segment of a ladder should brick the entire thing now, which is also an anti-run. People would climb the ladders before this update, and there was nothing you could do about it unless you had some kind of anti-air like Toad, because once they got up there, they had a perfect vantage spot to knock you off if you try to follow them up. Now you just break the ladder, and they should come falling down. You also can't climb when parkouring if the depth of the edge is too thin. And then 2 bug fixes. Reused skills not working in Skill Builder got fixed, and custom movesets not loading if the moveset was loaded the same frame the game tries to clean up old data was fixed. The whole update is pretty small. It matters for ranked duels, mostly because of Sewer, allowing those aforementioned one-shot cheeses, and it matters for public servers because if you're tired of runners, this update should help you out a lot. Other than that, that's all I've got to say. If you enjoyed watching this video, consider subscribing if you haven't already. I'm Noob Eternally, hope you have a good day, and bye.